good. Yeah, and times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you. The door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today. Learn the part and join the play. The world is here. Let's take it for a ride. Hey, you could be larger than life. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. Hopes and dreams, every boy. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel, Grand Colombia, and welcome to another Coffee Time Live. Looks like I got sound, so that's good. All right, let's look at the weather, take a look at the chat here, and we'll get on with some news and our hot topic of the day, which, by the way, is not about you, Jennifer and Emil. It's a coincidence. Okay, let's see. The weather. Right now it's about 70 degrees. We're going to have a high of about 75, low 63, and it's been awesome. I can't believe I hear some people complaining that it's been raining too much. It can't rain too much. It's spectacular. Exchange 38.94, kind of hanging in there. Of course, we'd like to see it go up, and it will eventually, but it's the nature of the beast. And let's take a look outside at our overcast day. And yeah, it kind of looks like it. Usually this camera, it's all washed out, but the colors are a little washed out today because it's so overcast. And we got Sunday traffic. Okay. First thing, couple items about the channel, about me, nothing big deal, but I was saying, when are you going to switch to a new platform? I get this every once in a while because I want to. YouTube is a problem. YouTube doesn't pay me a dime. They throttle my stream sometimes, well, all the time they kind of block me on the algorithm. So the only people who really know about the channel are the people that already know about the channel, which is why I don't care if people, you don't hear me saying like and subscribe and all that, because that's so that you grow your channel. And when the algorithm is actively working against you, it doesn't make any difference. You could subscribe all you want. Every time I get 10 subscribers, they delete 10 of them from the list. So you never really get any growth. I mean, what is the last 2 years? I've shown a growth of about 200 people. Channels that aren't even active show more growth than that. So when are you going to switch to a new channel? I would love to. Either Odyssey or Rumble, one of those two. And the first one that is compatible with certain things that I use, I'll switch. I don't have to worry about drop off of people because it happens all the time in YouTube anyway. So it won't hurt me at all to switch. And as a matter of fact, Rumble is actually monetizing now. So you can actually, they're kind of where YouTube was years ago when YouTube started monetizing. So it takes a little bit, but you can actually eventually make some money off of Rumble. But they're not there yet with some things that are important to me. So there's that. That's the answer to that. I did a video this past week. I was invited out by the good William and Emil and Jennifer and all of us. We went to lunch, and then we went to a little coffee farm that's not too far away, and it was a fun day. I enjoyed the teasing each other kind of thing, which was going well. I have a video in the works. I'd actually hoped that I would have had it out yesterday. Some things came up, and any excuse I get to stop editing, I'll take it. It's about probably 2/3, 3/4 of the way done. So that should be out this week. Although my guest that was supposed to be here this last Thursday, there was an emergency and they had to delay arriving until tomorrow. So I don't know how that's going to affect things. It's going to give me a very busy week. So I almost want to write this coming week off because I just don't know where it is. So who knows? That video may hang out in limbo, or maybe I'll be doing it at 2 a.m. just to get it done. So let's get on with, the chat. Let's see what's in the chat. All right, first one. I was scratching my head on this. Sebastian, the boat. I am not sure. I feel like I should know what you're talking about, but I don't have a clue. Then we had Juka with the contributions. Thank you. And a follow-up. Greetings from Finland. How are you doing? And then Renee, thank you very much. Renee, I believe, is from Belgium. We have a number of people from UK. We get people from different places in the world, which is pretty cool. Rob, good morning. 376 days. Wasn't it that last week? Is that number actually going down? I swear sometimes it seems like numbers getting added to it. Okay. Tex Blue Jeans, good morning from Bogota. How you doing? Let's see, Monday, Tuesday, you'll have people out in the streets again. John Swicky, morning from Seattle. How are you doing? Michael, good morning from Los Angeles. Howdy, howdy. Francisco, good morning from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. Turtle, checking in from Socorro. I had this dream where somebody here who has a car contacted me and wanted to go visit you, and did I want to go along? Yeah, and the dream ended as we were pulling into your town. It was a real strange dream. Mr. AKA Ben Lake, very good morning. It is. They always are, seems like. Charles, greetings from New York City. Back in Colombia in 2 weeks. Awesome. Very nice. Sebastian, we got an anchor, and we got a boat and a wave. What do you want, a cruise? I mean, what? I don't get it. Gil Girls, good morning from Northern California. How you doing? Larry, good morning from Southwest Florida. Isn't that like retirement area? Let's see. Mark, greetings from Agua Chica. Nebrock, hello from Panama. How you doing? I think I'm going to mention Panama today. Tom's about to open restaurant. Yeah, one of these days, he'll actually be here with an open restaurant and I have free time to go. But I gave up on trying to keep track of it. I mean, does he have a restaurant? Doesn't he have a restaurant? Is he in Colombia or is he in the United States? He's all over the place. I understand he's got some new sweetheart too, that's very cool. Congratulations. Libby, good morning from dangerous Ecuador. Getting bad, mostly in Manta. No, it's mostly in Ecuador. There's problems, serious problems all over Ecuador. And it gave me a chance yesterday to say I told you so. Somebody sent me something about what was going on in Ecuador. And it's almost collapsing, it seems. And it is like all these things that are coming to pass, but a few years later than I expected. But if you go back and look at my videos from, I would say 2016, 2017, in Ecuador, I predicted these things because they were all evident. And now it's like, oh, it's such a big surprise. It's, it's like, you don't want to slam a place, but you could kind of see what was coming. And, I'm there for a health reason, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be there anyway, even though there's some things about Ecuador that are spectacular. I mean, I love history, going and look at the Inca places, and it's very cool. It's one of those great place to visit. Eagle, good morning, Dallas, Texas, raining. That's good, especially there. Craig, good morning from Northwest Arkansas. Arkansas. Where is it, Arkansas? Al, good morning, longtime friend. You've been on here for, 3-4 years, I think. Mike, good morning from Armenia. How you doing? You're in Armenia. Go to the coffee meeting. I will quit administrating the coffee meeting. I was never supposed to anyway. Somebody stepped forward, and he's going to be posting on the updated information on Adventures of Grand Colombia. Plus, there's a WhatsApp group called Coffee Meet. And so if you want to get in that group, you can message me or go to the Facebook page, Adventure in Grand Colombia, and ask about it, and somebody will get you in the group. Will, Lone Wolf. I'm thinking Zombie Wolf from Frank Zappa. Good morning from Fort Lauderdale. How you doing? That's 2 of you. Okay. Let's get on with the news. We switch. Geez, nobody asked me the big question. All right, let's get on with the news. Item number 1. This one came at me. It's like, I should have known this. The first deadline for the ban on the production and use of plastics in Colombia begins in June. This is why I should have known it. You go shopping, the supermarket, this is what you get. Now, this is from Wireless, so it's nice and big. And they make great little garbage bags. Never have to buy them. That's what you get. About a week ago, I got this. Very nice paper bag. This is from Exito. Very nice. Got handles. It's really rugged. This came as a delivery. And I had when I have basic things like some milk and eggs and bread and stuff like that, that you don't really have to worry about choosing. I like to do those as a home delivery. So I'll plan those usually once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what it is. But on this week, I needed some flour. So flour is kind of heavy. So I had flour and some milk and some basic things. And it was pretty heavy. And the delivery guy was kind of freaked out, make sure I hold the bottom. But the truth is, this thing was really rugged, and I would rely more on this than those plastic bags. I've had many a time where a plastic bag will rip out, and this thing is thick. I'm surprised that they put so much into making such a nice bag. This is like a keeper. It even, it's got a nice picture on it. It's very cool. But I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. So let me put up here. Payment point bags used to pack, load, transport packages and merchandise, except those reusable and for industrial use. Bags used to package newspapers, magazines, advertising invoices, as well as those used in laundries to package wash clothes. These are the plastics that are banned. Containers are packages, containers, and bags to contain prepackaged liquids for immediate consumption, to takeaway or home delivery. Sometimes you'll get juices that are just in a little plastic bag and they tie it up and they hand it to you. Plates, trays, knives, forks, spoons, glasses, and gloves for eating. I don't know how they're getting around. It is a serious custom here to give plastic gloves when you order chicken wings. I've never used them, but everybody here, that's their thing. And mixers and straws for drinks. Now, I have noticed everywhere has gone to paper straws. I absolutely hate them. They last like all of 30 seconds and whatever it is. Fortunately, I don't really use straws, but yeah, it's a real step backwards. But it's what they're doing. So be it. I think the paper bags are a step up. Let's see, Mike Shield, we have to leave by June 28th. This is our second 6-month stay. Nice. Ron Clark, morning from Los Angeles. Del Bosque, Circassia. Yeah, your new home. Thank you, Ron. What do we got here? Here we go. Exto bag looks to be celebrating 75th anniversary. There's no putting anything past you. Yep, it's true, but I don't know. I think what they did was we're going to switch over and people are going to complain. And so we're going to make it about Colombia, USA. It's like we're going to make it about Colombia and we're going to make it really nice so people won't complain and they'll say, oh, this is a really nice bag. And of course, what are you going to put on there? You're going to promote yourself in Exito. I'm surprised that Exito is so small, but that's what I think. And I think as time goes on, they'll end up getting cheaper. Guys, let's hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate it, but it ain't going anywhere. I always put the glass beer bottles in recycling. Is there a deposit thing there? Nope. All right. Next news item. This one's pretty cool. Quindío reinforced its status as a territory of peace with a reduction of crime. And I tell you all the time about all the effort they've been putting into cleaning up any crime in Quindío, the state, but also preventing it from moving in. And this is, let's see, where are we at? Major crime reduction. Theft in general, down 32%. Theft out of the home, down 35%. This is throughout Quindío. Theft from businesses, down 56%. Theft of car, down 42%. Of motorcycle, down 27%. So it's pretty awesome. And everything they're doing is effective. You kind of, if you live here, you know it. If you pay attention at all. That's why I bring these things up every week as I see they're doing some new thing. I really appreciate how active they are in the, well, he's not a mayor, what do you call him, a governor of Quindío, the new one, is extremely active. He's as active as the mayor of Armenia always was, which is real nice because we had sleepwalkers as the governors before. Wilson, I heard FARC is in Quindío. You heard wrong. I believe last week I talked about that. It was a gang of kids that went around spray painting and putting signs up because they were being paid. There's criminals that exist everywhere, and one of the favorite crimes in Colombia is extortion, which they've actively been working on. That's why the business is a best improvement. It's down 56%, and that's all mostly all extortion. But what they're trying to do is get people to be afraid so that they would fall for their scams. But it didn't work. It's simply not true. When I lived here before, they were here, but they are not here. I heard Gorilla, Zincandio. They're not. They're simply not. I've talked about this. There was an effort. It wasn't by them. It was actually by the cartel, GoPro. They attempted to get somebody set up in Montenegro twice, and in both cases, the local people blew them in. The police came and arrested them. You know anything about traumatic guns and traumatic? Whenever I go to Colombia, I buy a pocket knife and stun gun in the mall, about 30, 50,000 each. Living in New York City, I always carry something legal. I'm not sure what you mean by traumatic. You can get a permit. They have gun permits here. The word on Facebook is you can't own a gun. It's not true. You can. You have to jump through hoops, but honestly, the hoops that you'd have to jump through are no worse than when I got a pistol permit in New York State. It was a nightmare. But you can definitely have a gun. That's why you have these independent security people that'll carry a pistol or a shotgun. It doesn't belong to their job. It belongs to them. I mean, some do. Some of the big companies actually provide, but they don't just hand it to them. They have to, have a permit. It's not a permit just because they're doing that job. Although that'll give them a leg up. It might even expedite it. But you can have a gun. It's not all that necessary here because, well, I don't want to get sidetracked. That's a whole nother topic. Good morning from Connecticut. How you doing? J Rag Soul Fiesta. Greetings, first time listener. Live in Medellin for 5 years. Yeah, you've watched that place change a lot over those 5 years. Yes, traumatic guns are very popular in Colombia. I don't know what you mean by traumatic. I don't get it. Never heard it. So if they're popular, I don't know. All right, let's get back on the news so we can get to Gringo pricing. Is it real? No, change my mind. All right. Community Paths of Total Peace program arrives in Quindío. All right, what they're talking about here, these are road workers. And for the last couple years, they've been trying to connect places that essentially had no way to connect. Had no roads, basically. Even if you go to Genova or Geneva, I think in English, but Genova, it's really difficult to get there. And during certain times of the year, roads will get washed out. It's been a problem. And there was a problem from Finlandia over to Montenegro there really wasn't a way to get there directly. You had to take the circuitous route, and now there is. There's a main highway that goes. So they're just talking about they've completed those projects. There will be more projects, but they've completed those projects. It's a high power air gun. Oh, okay. Never heard them called traumatic. Gun that fires a rubber projectile. Traumatic gun. All right. Never heard that. But yeah, they're here. You can buy them pretty much anywhere. You go to the mall and you'll see them for sale. Those are legal. Look, I will say this. I'm a person that grew up with guns. From the time I was 8 years old, I got my first. It was a .22 rifle. When I was 10, I got a shotgun, bolt action shotgun, Mossberg. My stepfather had over 200 guns in a gun collection. Almost none of them were the same. I learned how to reload bullets. Belonged to a gun club. Joined the Marine Corps, was in the Marine Corps over 6 years and fired expert every year, rifle and pistol. I love guns. I had guns my entire life up until I moved here, when I sold a 45 and a 38 special, 2 pistols. I'd had a M1 carbine most of my life, so I have no issues with guns at all. Love them. On the other hand, not one time have I ever felt that I needed one here. But that has to do, it'll actually kind of blend into Gringo pricing in a weird way. It has a lot to do with choices that you make in places where you choose to live. Jay, my rent went up 1 million pesos in 4 years. I hear you. And we don't live near other foreigners. Can't blame gringos for inflation. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, you were all getting hit with that. But this is something else, as you know, of course. All right, next one. Oh, this one kind of stings. After more than 60 years, General Motors closes its vehicle assembly plants in Colombia. This was in Bogota. They had employed, I believe, somewhere between 600 and 1,000 people. They've got a whole bunch of other things. They've got a GM financial arm, which remains open. You're just not going to make cars in Colombia anymore. They also make them in Ecuador, and they'll be closing that. But they haven't announced the closure. They're saying it may be a year or two. So we'll probably get our cars from Ecuador instead of homemade here in Colombia. And that will definitely hurt sales, because one of the reasons people buy, well, there's a couple reasons. One of the reasons people buy them is because they're made here in Colombia. Another reason is, I hate to say, I've never been a big fan of General Motors. You know, I've never respected a company that made its decision based on bean counters instead of the engineers. And that's their history. However, the cars they sell here are damn good cars. They're very reliable. They're some of the most reliable, and everybody knows how to work on them. Everybody knows how to repair them. Parts are dirt cheap. So it's a very practical car to own. It's a shame. It's a shame that they're closing up. I think it may have to do with their transition. They can't figure out, they're trying to transition to everything electric. Well, that's not going to work in the Andes very well. Hybrid, yeah, but full electric, no. So what are they going to do there? They're trying to get away from gas. Now they're looking at this air-powered engine. They're scrambling to find some way around electric cars, because it may end up making them bankrupt along with a bunch of other car companies. People just aren't buying them. So it's sad, but it's in the news. And last news item is our old buddy Petro. This is an announcement. Okay, coming up is May 1st, which is Labor Day, which is a big day here, particularly if you're middle left or left. It's a day to commemorate Not for Populism, CGT. CGT is a labor union. Does not support a march called by the president. So Petro, who's very left, he's calling for a huge support throughout Colombia. Now, you may remember that just days ago, there was a massive protest against Petro throughout all of Colombia. I mean, people are really ticked off at this guy, particularly he's screwing with the healthcare system and people are outraged over it. So he wants to, he's looking at politics and he wants to counter that by getting a big turnout May 1st so he could say, see, those are just malcontents, but I really have support. Well, this labor union would typically be out there May 1st and show support. And they're saying, no, we're not going to get involved with your politics because you're doing everything that's contrary to what us as a group represent. So this should be a natural constituent of his, and they're turning their back on him. Now, I will say that this has actually caused a fissure in that labor union or association. And the group in Bogota, because Bogota supports Petro, it can do no wrong. It's kind of like, think San Francisco. So they're holding on, but everywhere else in Colombia, they're, it's like Petro fuera. Yeah, this was from a few weeks ago, but check out the t-shirt there. It was massive. It made the news all over the world. It was so massive. Okay, that's the end of the news. We're going to get on to Gringo pricing. Let's see. They fixed my car AC compressor and system for $80,000, $20. Yeah. Car repairs are surprisingly inexpensive. But let's talk about Gringo pricing. Because I think it's just something that's massively misunderstood. And like a lot of other things that I've done on here, it's to give it perspective. See, the problem with viewing it as Gringo pricing is they're seeing me as a foreigner and they're going to take advantage of me because I'm a foreigner. And it's almost like racist or, they're prejudiced against me and they hate me and they only see me as a dollar and they only see me as an ATM. Now, I will begin this discussion by saying that there's a fair amount of truth to this if you're in Medellin or in Bogota. However, you also have to look at where this stuff comes from, and we'll talk about that. This started because of a post on Facebook. Now, it's interesting because Wednesday at the coffee meeting, I had a discussion with two of my friends that were there. It was about Gringo pricing. It's something that goes back when they first arrived here. And, he takes exception of somebody trying to take advantage of him. And I get it. But I try to put it in perspective. But what this topic today isn't about him. It's about this posting that I saw on Facebook and some of the comments. And I couldn't remember that I've ever done a video on this topic. And maybe I have. I got about 900 videos, so I might have, but I don't think I have. So let's see if this works. Got a little slide thing here. And see if this button works. Come on, are you going to work or not? Yeah, there we go. All right. This was a posting. What are some examples of Gringo pricing you have experienced besides rent? I'll kick it off. Well, rent, actually, don't put it besides. Vienda charges 15,000 ATM fee. That's his start of an example. And Gringo pricing, if you look it up, it's a term used by some expats when foreigners are charged higher prices for goods and services. This is due to being a foreigner located in a foreign country like Colombia. Essentially, Gringo pricing means the price of a product or service is inflated due to a customer being a foreigner. Ever been in the USA and gone to a used car dealership? I love the name of this. I was just scrolling through and I saw this. And some of you know I've been in the car business most of my life. I started at 10 years old. And I was involved in a study once about the difference between used cars. It was specifically used cars being sold to women versus men, and the different approaches. And it was quite an eye-opener. Having never been a woman, I didn't know. And during the study, it was I would say kind of shocking, but completely understandable, that used car salesmen who work on commission would see the woman that comes in the door as somebody lacking knowledge, and potentially they're going to make extra commission. They're going to make extra profit, preying on the fact that there was a lack of knowledge. And so what would happen is they would essentially flatter and flirt with them, and try to qualify them if they're actually a decision maker. If they're not, well, why don't we make another appointment so you can bring in your man if he's going to make the decisions. It was a whole different ballgame. And when the guy would go in, we're guys, we know they're going to talk to us about the technical specs, and it's like, well, you look good in this. I mean, what a great way to pick up chicks, whatever. It was a whole different flavor. The whole purpose was so that they could get more money out of that woman buyer. She wasn't a foreigner. Another big scam in the United States are these going out of business sales of these furniture and mattress places. And you realize they're going out of business like every 3 months. And you go in, and what this allows them to do is make more money than they normally would, because when they're going out of business, then everything becomes a bargain. Come on in, negotiate your best price, instead of just going in and there's a price. And a lot of times they would find people that were basically suckers for whatever line that they had, and could actually get more money out of them for that mattress than what they normally would get. And so you would have these perpetual going out of business sales. And they weren't foreigners. More here, I've experienced Gringo pricing in Florida. We have over 1,000 people moving here per day. I remember when rent and prices were low, but they've increased. Well, yes, that's true. And it's also true that there's inflation. You got both going on. Let's see. I think, whoops. Let's see if I can get that back. Can I get it? Can I get it? Where are we? Come on. One more. I think in America it's Apologize, guys. Very frustrating. Okay. I think I got it now. Collie Anderson. So he lives in Collie. I think in America it's called supply and demand. Life is better in Colombia, being the only gringo in the neighborhood. I wouldn't live in Medellin if you paid me. And he's in Cali. Well, I wouldn't live in Cali if you paid me, but I get your point. Okay, I think that's all. I tried a new way to do slides. It was a little awkward, as you could see. But bottom line, what I see in Facebook are essentially people constantly complaining and blaming. And that's a hell of a way to go through life. It's a pretty negative aspect. And I just don't think it's necessary. I wouldn't call it gringo pricing. I would call it price gouging. And there's responsibility for that price gouging, and it falls on you. If you're a consumer, it's in your lap. The problem is, well, with some people, gringo pricing or price gouging, it never happens. I tried to think of when it happened to me. I'm sure I paid more for something that I should have out of ignorance. But I can't think of what it was. And when I first got here, I was practically broke. You know the whole story. It took me a long time to kind of get back on my feet. My retirement stopped. It was a mess. I was living on rice. I still had to get some furniture. I couldn't afford crap. So, you know, my first refrigerator was used under $75. My living room sofa, armchair, coffee table, and end table, I paid under $200 for all of it delivered. I got all this stuff dirt cheap for here. Now, they might have wanted a different price, and I couldn't afford it. I can afford this. I can do this. Whether they can do it or not, that's a whole different, ball game. So I didn't contribute to this idea of gringo pricing. Now, I want to point out, and I think somebody made a note there, I just caught a couple words, that this gringo pricing idea, or gentrification, or ruining the culture. Think about Panama, and think about going up on that mountain where all the gringos live and looking at the prices up there. Or Thailand, how Thailand has changed to where it's become an expensive place to go now. Think about the Philippines. All the gringos want to live up in Baguio. Oh, I see your note there. Yeah, let me put it up. From Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, after 6 months in Baguio, Philippines. Mr. Coleman. It's funny you're talking about that. Things in Baguio are more expensive than other places in the Philippines, with the exception of, the capital, but it's an expensive place to go because that's where the foreigners go. And they do all the foreign things that they do. Costa Rica. There was a time when that was an inexpensive, cheap place to live. And it's just not anymore. It's Cuenca, Ecuador. My God, you need twice the money. Even if inflation hadn't happened, it was climbing when I was living there. It's because people will come in and they don't understand the economy and they just spend more than is necessary. And then you'll turn around and blame the locals for that situation. Here, let me give you, let's say you got a car for sale. Let's say you're getting ready to move to Colombia and you're sitting back in the United States and you have this old used car that you want to sell. And you're thinking, man, it'd be awesome if I get $8,000 out of this car. That's what I paid for it 5 years ago. Wouldn't it be cool? So let me put this car up for sale. Somebody comes in and says, yeah, I like that car. I'll give you 12 grand for it. What are you going to do? You say, no, I only wanted 8. No, you're going to say 12. Okay. Yeah, I can't sign the paper fast enough. Here you go. Count that money. Make sure it's real. Is it his fault? Is it your fault? It's his fault because that's what he wanted to do. So if there's blame to go around, it was his choice. You just took what he was going to give you. And you see it all the time when people come to a country where it's on a different economic level. They don't understand the economy of it. They learn after they're here for a while, and then they start crying on Facebook about, something so expensive. When they first get here, they don't get it. And so they'll go in and sit down at a El Muerto for $3, and they're going to be big man on campus, and they throw an extra 20,000 on the table because to them it's play money. It doesn't mean anything. It happens all the time. God forbid if it's one of these guys that's walking around with some girl and he's trying to impress her, and he's throwing money every which way. What are you telling people? That you have so much money, it's not important. Then why does it matter if they charge you more? And if you're going to get an apartment, for example, do you do any homework, or you just go up and say, how much is this place? And then you say, well, compared to my budget, that's good, even if it's double what it should be. You'll say, well, it's cheap to me, and do it. People, first timers, they tend to do that. They overpay. After they're here for a while, then they go on Facebook and complain, and they start looking for something cheaper. But when you got 10,000 people in a place like Medellin that are constantly doing this, all you're doing is screwing everybody, including the local people. You're driving prices up for them too. Why should I sell to my local neighbor when I can sell to some ignorant newcomer? It's not because he's a gringo. It's because he's an idiot. And when you sold that used car, you weren't going to block that idiot. He was being an idiot. But hey, what the hell? It's $4,000 in my pocket. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to say, no, don't give me all that extra money that you want to throw my way. Just keep it in your pocket and only give me this. Well, I have found some people will do that. Like, used to be here, taxis would be insulted if you try to give them extra money. And they would chase you down to give you every last peso in change because they didn't want it to be viewed as they were ripping you off. I see that going away. There's still some of that, but I see it going away. The other day, for a particular reason, I told the guy to keep the change, and I don't usually do that. Didn't amount to much, but the guy had no qualms. He just, okay, thanks. 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. So they're being taught. This is a big tourist place, Colombian tourists, and the same thing happens by Colombians. A lot of people from Bogota are on a different economy than what we are here in Armenia. And they'll come from Bogota and they're on vacation, and maybe, you know, they've got a girlfriend or something with them, and they're free with their money in a similar way. And maybe they don't know what a price is here, and so they'll overspend also. It's my point is that the bitterness of looking at local people and blaming them for the situation is, in my view, it's just ignorance, because it's not really what's happening. And the proof of that is look from country to country to country to country where these things happen. What are the reasons? What are the causes for this to happen? It's self-inflicted. If you came here and you acted like you were in my situation where you were broke and you just didn't, every peso mattered, and you were stingy, and I'm still that way somewhat today because of what I suffered through. I won't forget that anytime soon. It was tough. And if I go to buy something, I learn what the prices are before I go. Now, the thing is, most things you go to buy, they have price tags on them. Everybody's paying the same thing, no matter who you are, where you're coming from. The only time this comes into play is some people with rentals who present themselves as being totally ignorant of the situation. Some people on the other side will be unscrupulous. There's crooks everywhere, and they'll take advantage of the situation. So with rentals, that can happen. If you're down in Central and you're getting, maybe an artisanal made something and there's no price tag on it, you have to remember that traditionally this was once a negotiating culture. If you go down there and they give you a price and you go, okay, and you pay it, and then you find out that you paid twice as much as anywhere else, that's on you. You didn't even try to negotiate with them. And things without prices are usually subject to negotiation. And if there are prices, they don't know who's walking in the door. They're not changing the price just because you walked in. But they do size you up, just like that used car dealer. They're gonna size you up. And if you walk in and you've got, nice clothes, and you've got, which is one reason I never get Gringo, and I dress like a bum. But if you have nice clothes, you got a nice new cell phone that you're kind of flashing around, maybe you got a really nice watch, people look at your shoes. If you got nice shoes, you walk in, you got a backpack, you're looking kind of out of place. Of course they're going to try to but you could be from anywhere. You could be from Colombia, you could be from Ecuador. It doesn't matter. They're seeing somebody who's a fish out of water, and maybe I can get more money. And maybe I'll get enough to pay that electric bill tonight. So stop blaming Colombians for your ignorance. If you don't want to be Gringo priced or price gouge, find out what the prices are. And if somebody hits you with a price that's higher and he doesn't want to come off it, then walk away. Go find another one. 9 times, my first place here in Armenia, this was back when rents were cheaper and it was only a 2-bedroom, but it was a great location. He wanted 1,000,000 pesos and he wanted 6 months deposit. Because I found out later, he had heard in Medellin that they get away with a 6 months deposit. And I said, no, I didn't have that kind of money. I couldn't do it. He sent me a WhatsApp 15 minutes later. And he dropped the price and he dropped the deposit to 3 months. And I messaged him back. I really appreciate it. I appreciate that you're trying to work with, but I just can't do it. What can you do? I can do 850, and I agreed to 1 month deposit, which turns out wasn't even necessary, but I agreed to that. I was prepared for that. And he said, okay, we're done. Done deal. So I could have, I lived there 2 years. I could have been paying more for those 2 years or paying what I paid. It was on me. Now, it turns out that I got a really good deal on that place because the other ones, we call them comps, in that building were actually between 9 and 1.2. So it was a good deal. But it's what I could do. And I had done some homework and I knew approximately, I didn't know in that building in particular, but I knew around there. And I'd actually looked at a couple very similar places. And I didn't go to those similar places because they didn't want to come down off it. One was, I think, was 900, and he didn't want to come down off it. But I got the 850. Did he Gringo price me when he hit me up for 1 million? Did he Gringo price me? Well, he didn't, as a matter of fact. That actually would have been reasonable. It felt like he was trying to take advantage of me. And with a 6-month deposit, he was in that sense. But I wasn't going to do it. And so it's on you. And if you don't take the time to know what the hell you're doing, don't blame other people. That's what I think. That's all I got to say about that. So Gringo pricing, does it exist? No. Price gouging does, but only if you let it happen. Because you're the one that ultimately decides yes or no. I liked how you were putting those slides on screen. Keep doing it. Practice makes perfect. For whatever reason, the signal for the controller, it wasn't really signaling the way it should. Yeah. I don't know that I'll try that particular way. in the past, I've made actually a slide program, not in OBS, but I've made a slide program and put them up, and that's always seemed to work pretty good. It's just more work. I thought, well, maybe this will be good. Yeah, but this doesn't work that great. Turtle, let's see. I have found the friendlier I am with my neighbors and tienda owners, I end up getting discounts. Well, there's that too. And you're the only gringo there. You know, are they gouging you? When I lived in Giron in Ecuador, I never got gouged there, and I was the only gringo in that town. Only if you let them. Living in Boquete, Panama now. It's expensive here. Yeah, and there was a time when it wasn't. It wasn't that long ago. In Colombia, you must negotiate prices, considered rude and arrogant if you don't make any counteroffer except in chain stores. I don't know. A lot of this is things once were, but they're not anymore. I find myself still stuck in 20 years ago and lessons I learned then. And a lot of it just doesn't apply anymore. If you don't negotiate back, I don't think they see you as rude anymore. I think they see you as maybe you were just a sucker. There is a level of respect, and if they hit you with a price that they really don't expect you to accept, whether you're a foreigner or not, if you go ahead and bite on that price, that's on you, and you're an idiot. And so they're not going to have a lot of respect for you in that case. But if you recognize it, if you show the knowledge that they're charging too much for that, it's a whole different ball game. Then they can respect you, that you're not stupid, that you know what you're doing. There's a person here, and I won't identify, a local person that is a ruthless negotiator. And I used to recommend her to, if you're going to go buy something and it can be negotiable, take her along, kind of thing. And some things, even though there's prices on them, you can still negotiate sometimes. You know, the higher ticket, the better you can negotiate. But I believe in a fair deal, and I don't want to waste a dime. I don't have it to throw away. On the other hand, if a price should be all things the same, 100,000 pesos, for example, should be 100,000 pesos, and maybe they want 150, and I say no, and we end up at 100,000, and I know that's a reasonable and fair price, and it allows them the right amount of profit. I'm good with that. Well, this person would keep going and keep going and keep going, and I swear sometimes these people want to cry because they give up. Everything they're giving up is profit that they should have gotten on that. But 9 times out of 10, they need the money, and she'll get it down to where they're barely making anything off that transaction. I'm not a believer in that. I've never felt that way. If I can't afford it, then I can't afford it. But know what you're doing, pay what you should pay. Don't try to screw people any more than you want them to be screwing you over. But bottom line is, when it comes to whatever these prices are, whatever that price was that you're going on Facebook and whining and complaining about, it's the price that you agreed to. So shut the hell up. So, and then another thing comes up. Well, one thing that we're talking about is, I gave somebody some money and he tried to rip me off for the change. Yeah, well, you're going to get scumbags everywhere. You're going to get people that try to cheat you. You got people that go in and play games with the money at the cash register so they can fleece the poor cashier out of some money because she got confused. I mean, you get those kind of people. They're just scumbags, and that's not exclusive to Colombia in any way. You could say these things about all of these countries, but I ran into this stuff all the time in the U.S. But the thing is, there, for the most part, we don't let anybody get away with it because the value of things is entrenched in us. And so, we'll catch those things. You come here, you don't know. And if they're hitting you up for these higher prices, you find out later and you feel like a fool because, well, he gouged me. You paid it. You paid it. They're there to sell something. They're not there to give classes on how I can lose money selling you something. Okay. I think that's all I have to say on the topic. I think I beat it to death. If we have any questions on it, feel free. We've run just about the hour. Appreciate everybody hanging in there. I appreciate as always, the contributions. Let's say if they set a price $130,000, it's because they're looking to sell it for $100,000. Maybe every circumstance is different. You got to be careful of the hard and fast. You could very well be right on something, but I wouldn't make that as like the rule. If you're going to go buy something where it matters, look specifically to see what these things are going for, new or used or whatever, so you get it in your mind. Maybe he paid more for something. He needs to get a little bit more. Maybe the condition is better. Maybe there's a reason for that, but still, ultimately, it's up for you to decide. And if you say, okay, you want 130 and you won't come down from that, but I know where I can get it for 100,000, then go get it for 100,000 somewhere else. It's simple. Don't be mad at the guy. There's a lot of times there's reasons for how things are working out. I have 4 guys who buy things for me and get good prices. Yeah, if you don't want to take the time to know what you should be paying for something, that's not a bad way to do it. It's not a bad way. Find somebody you can count on locally, give them a little, buy them lunch or whatever to do it. Lunch is another thing. People say, well, I got gringoed on lunch. And this was an example. And he said, I saw a sign. It was $14,000 for the executive lunch, but I ended up paying $24,000. I got gringoed. Really? What'd you order? Well, I ordered the ribs and whatever. Well, he ordered off the menu. He didn't order the lunch of the day, but he was all kinds of pissed off and bad-mouthing this restaurant because he ordered off the menu and then later complained that he wasn't getting the special of the day price. That just comes out of ignorance. The time I cheated a taxi driver out of ignorance. I didn't run around telling people about it, but when I learned, that was, to this day, I still feel humiliated when I think about it. I ripped the guy off out of my ignorance. I didn't know any better, and I should have. I should have known what I was doing. So, try to keep these things in perspective, because here's the moral of the story. You can be bitter and angry and upset and blame others. That's a hell of a burden to carry. Do your transactions so you can walk away and just be content with whatever it was. If you found it was cheaper somewhere, so be it. You got it. You're happy. You did what you wanted to do. Live with it. I overpaid for this place, but I knew I was overpaying. I can't blame anybody else for it. It was a choice that I made, and I'm kind of suffering for it now. On the other hand, I'm living in a really nice place. Can't wait to get out just because, I really can't afford it, but I'm here for a year. I'm not going to sit around and get caught up in blame and I took some lessons away from it. I learned some things, but to spend your days being bitter and upset and blaming others, it kind of, where do you find room to enjoy every day? So I let those things go. Right now, there's some legitimate reasons of concern of where certain things are going. They took over a health insurance thing. What happens if they do that with others? What happens if they start taxing things they didn't tax before? What happens if our health insurance goes up? What happens if You know, all of these things, and all of those things potentially could happen, or they won't. I'll find out. In the meantime, I'm not going to let it disrupt my life because there's nothing I could do about it anyway. So I just deal with things as it comes. I don't know. It just makes for a better life, I think. Maybe some people just like to be grumpy. Here's a keyword for last for in cuanto lo dija. What's your lowest price? Yeah, well, you could do that. Oh, no, 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 gracias. No, no, no. No, no, no. Ciao. Señor, espera. Ah, okay. So, yeah, we all have our ways. All right. Last call for any question, comment. My email is, where is it? Email. There's my email. Feel free to write me with comments. Many of you do. I get a lot of topics off of that. And I've yet to have anybody step forward to do an interview. So don't write me anymore. Why aren't you doing more interviews with people? You know, if you don't want to step forward, other people don't either. That's why I don't do more. That's why I have so few. Nobody wants to do them. Okay. We're going to end it for today. I want to thank you. It was a great NFL draft. That was very cool. I got my guests tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have some things to tell you in next coffee time. Fingers crossed. And we're going to end today on this note.
Son por todita la ciudad y camina de lado. Como que te cantontea, vagabundo, como que te cantontea, chorteame, como que te cantontea, vagabundo, como que te cantontea, como que me cantontea, como que me va de lado. Wow.